Hey guys, and welcome to All the Mods 9 progression log 19 at this point. Almost 5 months of logs, although it's been a little bit more than 5 months because of several times having to delay. But anyway, um, I hope you guys have had a good week so far. Mine's been pretty mixed, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of choked in my exam on Friday, so that kind of sucked a little bit, but I feel good about most of it, so it is what it is, right? Let's go ahead and get started. I do want to talk about the bees first. Since I've been mentioning that. I think I mentioned that last time. Uh, so here are the Dragonic Bees. We have 15 here. We have 15 bees. They're on automatic. I've switched over to using wireless connectors now because someone mentioned that. Like I kind of forgot about that because early game the power cost was a little bit too much to really justify it, and now it doesn't really matter. We have so much power, and the power system is really easy to scale, and I didn't really feel like dragging a cable out all the way over here and then running it down underneath the panel. Sorry, platform. So I was like, you know what? I didn't really want to spend like 5-6 minutes doing that or whatever. So like, you know what? It's wireless connector time. So it's wireless connector time. Um, excuse me. We also do have the GregTech comb processor multi-block. This was a tiny bit expensive in terms that it required. Let's see. Let me show you. The comb processor um, requires the heated centrifuge, which requires an inactive dragon egg, which requires 8 draconic chunks. So you can't just make it right off the bat. We had to run these bees for a little bit and then run them through just like a conventional. I was just hand feeding just like a regular comb processor from productive bees. But as soon as we could get it, um, we built this. This is pretty good. One thing I do want to mention is I also have the ultimate parallel control hatch, but it's only on one because the reason is so when you run the comb, like say the dragonic comb recipe, um, when you run the draconic comb recipe, there's a chance output of draconic dust. So it's 30%. So I assumed that when you did the batch mode, would run 64. You'd have 64 30% chances, right? So you might not get a full stack at a time or whatever. And that's not actually true. If you run 64 at a time, you get a 30% chance of 64 draconic dust and a 70% chance of getting nothing, right? And I didn't really like that so much, so I decided just to leave it on one, so we get a little bit of something from everything. Um, so yeah, that's done with that. And we're running it at ZPM, so it'll be pretty fast. Oh, this is here's Cosmic. There we go. So yeah, she's been helping me out, like working on the ATM star components. We're pretty close actually. I think we have about 8 of the 10 needed. So yeah, we'll get all. I think we have some B stuff. Oh, I do want to mention actually. I do want to bring this up. I noticed we have. You notice we have a nomad bee spawn egg. We waited about 3.5 to 4 weeks to try and get one to spawn naturally, and we couldn't get one to spawn naturally. So I just spawned one in. We were so sick of just constantly babying like our bee farming setup, and we couldn't get one to generate. So we got so sick of it. Um, that we like I just spawned one in. I didn't really feel like waiting another month and a half. Yeah. Anyway, so one thing I do want to mention, the reason why we're doing bees is for tungsten, because out of all the resources we have effectively infinite of everything, but tungsten. We're burning through tungsten because it's like a we're actually like blasting through tungsten super fast because you need tons of it for the fusion reactors. Excuse me. You need tons of it for the fusion reactors, and the ore veins are pretty small, and they're not that common, and they're the last thing the miners get. They go layer by layer, and the tungsten layer. Okay, so we're about halfway through the ATM star stuff. That's good to know. so like tungsten's at the very bottom layer. So and it takes like a week for all the miners to get down to that bottom layer, and then I have to move them right after. So I keep the miners rolling specifically for tungsten. So if I could just make tungsten, um, go away. If I could just make tungsten from bees, I wouldn't have to run the miners anymore. So once we get the tungsten bees, we probably won't run them anymore because look how rich we are in literally everything but tungsten. We have millions of most resources that we'll need a lot of. We have hundreds of thousands of virtually everything else. It's crazy how loaded we are now. So we don't need to run the miners for anything. Well, all we need again is tungsten. So once we get the tungsten bees, for example, like check this out. If we get like the maximum you can do, which is 32. No, it's 30, isn't it? Where is it? I know you can do it from like 30. Yeah, here. 29. Anyway, so once you have enough of these bees, like look how many tungsten comb blocks that is. It's like 1,000, right? And if you run it at ZPM, that's 1,000 every 32.8 seconds, and each one of those things is 4 comb blocks. So that's like 4,000 tungsten combs. So every 30 odd seconds, we have a 40%. We have 4,000 chances to roll tungsten dust. So that's way better than mining it because I have 12 miners running, and once they all hit down to the tungsten layer, it's like at most like 1,500 to 2,000 dust because the ratio is absolutely horrible too, because tungsten dust is made from the tungsten acid dust, and it takes 7 tungsten acid dust for one tungsten dust, right? And tungsten acid dust comes from scheelite and tungstate, and you can see it's like it's 7 to 7 for tungstenic acid, but that's one tungsten dust. So it's 7 tungstate dust for one tungsten ore, or 6 scheelite dust for one tungsten dust. And that ratio is absolutely horrible. It takes so long to get any amount of tungsten dust, like weeks to get, like literally like a week. You have to run the miners for a straight week before they hit that layer. And I have 12 running. And we have tons of everything else. So once we get the bees going, which is going to be a while, where we won't run them anymore. That being said, though, it won't be as easy as just making the Apiary Mark II, because the Apiary Mark II will only run bees that have the very high productivity, any weather, and all times of the day. That's what metaneural is. Metaneural? Anyway, to actually run them. The Mark 1 doesn't require that, but it does also has a small chance of eating the bees. Like, for example, if we run this at ZPM, you have a 1% chance, and that goes up higher the higher tier you run it. And I don't really want to eat our tungsten bees, so I kind of want to go straight to the Mark II apiary, which requires better traits. So even though... Oh, the other thing is, look how expensive... there it is. The apiary Mark II... to craft this requires... I thought it was 12 draconic chunks because I did my math wrong. And I did my math so very wrong. It's actually 420 chunks, which means we need 3,300 odd more draconic dust, right? You need like 4,000 in total or something like that. So we'll be waiting on these bees for a while. There's only 15 of them in there, but that's fine because we do have to do bee breeding in order to get the tungsten bees with the traits we want. So that's going to be a huge rabbit hole and, very time consuming, I'm sure. But it'll be worth it so I don't have to, constantly wait for tungsten. Because tungsten delayed the Fusion Reactor Mark II by like 2-3 weeks, which was really annoying. Speaking of Fusion Mark II, we actually finished building one. I haven't turned this one on yet, but this one will make duranium. And we need a bunch of these fusion reactors, by the way. We need 3 just to make tritanium because the ratios are that way, right? So this one makes duranium, and for duranium, we're running this at ZPM. So every 1.6 seconds, you get 16 millibuckets of liquid duranium, and then you put this into another fusion reactor for liquid tritanium. And at ZPM, every 1.6 seconds, it eats 32 liquid duranium millibuckets, right? So you need 2 fusion reactors making duranium to feed 1 fusion reactor making tritanium. Otherwise, it'll turn off, and then you have to, feed it a bunch of energy to start it up again, and that would be bad. So if in order to make sure it's constantly running, we have to make sure we have a constant stream, which means we need 2 of these fusion reactors for germanium. We'll need a third one for tritanium. Then we're also going to need liquid neutronium, which requires liquid americium, which requires luteum, which requires lanthanum and silicon. We have this stuff. That's not too bad. We can run this ZPM. We can have 1 luteum fusion reactor feeding a couple of these americium fusion reactors. Chromium's not too bad. We have tons of that too. So americium won't be too bad, but we are going to have just an absolute monstrous amount of these fusion reactors, and they cost a lot of tungsten, like a lot of tungsten. Like here, if we make another 25 fusion reactors, fusion Mark II casings, it costs us, let's see, how much tungsten steel? If we can find that cost. 202 tungsten steel ingots, right? So that's a lot, and you need closer to like 150, I think, 200 fusion casings per fusion reactor. So it's like 1,000. It's close to 1,000 tungsten steel per fusion reactor. That's a lot of tungsten. So that's why this got delayed by like 2.5 weeks, because we just didn't have any. Because you have to run the miners for a really long time. So again, it all comes down to tungsten. So if you guys want a tip for your own ATM9 GregTech run, work on getting GregTech tungsten bees. It will be the #1 resource you will always hurt for. Everything else you'll be fine. We don't hurt for any other raw resource that can be mined besides tungsten. It's very sad. Because everything else, like, osmio, I think would be another one that would be kind of hard to get, but we have osmium from mechanism. Maybe iridium, but we have 21,000 of that dust, so that's fine. I don't even know where you get this stuff. Oh yeah, you get it from the Platline. And there's tons of different, like, really common ores that go into Platline too, so that's not a problem either. And Naquita is, like, really common and in absolutely gigantic veins. Like, so that's fine. So every other resource is fine besides tungsten. So I would invest in bees for tungsten. It's gonna be an absolute pain in the ass getting them all the way up to, the proper traits so they don't get eaten alive. Eaten by Mark I apiary, so you can run them in the Mark II. But it'll be worth it, I'm sure. It'll be a lot of tungsten, and then we'll be fine. And then I can start slamming out fusion reactors like nobody's business. I also upgraded radon over here. I just ran this. I upgraded it to UV here to the point where it's actually we've eaten all our uranium dust right now, so I have to make I have to pass some uranium dust somewhere. I noticed that earlier. But this runs at like 3 ticks a recipe, which is kind of weird because in JEI it said it should be like 6 seconds, right? So we're running this at a UV recipe. So UV, it says it should be 6.25 seconds per bucket, but this does not run it at 6.5 seconds. It runs it at 3 ticks. I don't know why the difference is there. I don't get it. So if you guys have any, I mean, I'm not complaining. It runs like way faster than it should. Whatever, I guess, right? I just wish it was more consistent with JEI, because now I'm kind of concerned other recipes might be running faster than they should too. I'm hoping they run faster rather than slower. If they run slower than the recipe says, that would be mildly concerning. But well, we have plenty of radon now. I upgraded this for the fusion for duranium, so because you need a lot of radon. You can make radon through the fusion reactor too, but this is kind of bad in terms of time spent per, millibucket or whatever. It's 1.6 seconds for 125 millibuckets, or 6 seconds by JEI for a bucket. So it's what, 3-4 times as much for 8 times as much or something like that in terms of time. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, parallel control hatches. You guys saw that. I haven't really been using them very much because there's not really too many places we need them at now. Because the biggest use of the parallel control hatches was originally in ore processing, but ore processing is more than fast enough for with just the masters. I did use one over here in the sifter because this got stockpiled. This got backed up for a while. Um, we had a bunch of like maintenance issues all at once, like a bunch of these thermal centrifuges and an EBF, all tripped at the same time in terms of needing maintenance. I don't know why they all went off at the exact same time. It might have been within like 15 to 20 minutes of each other, but I had to provide maintenance to like 9 different machines. Tape, by the way, really good. You guys want to get that as soon as you can, because as soon as a maintenance hatch is taped, it will never have any maintenance issues ever again. So it's just it's just plug and play, right? So whenever I build a new multi-block, I just tape the maintenance hatch, and then I'm done. Um, I guess I'll go ahead and show playtime now. Playtime is, where are we? 21.48 days. That should be like 520 odd hours. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I did the math earlier. So if we do 21 times 24, that is. Oh, sorry. That one's. Which one is not done in here? I think this one's 24 times 21 is 504 plus another half. Because it's so like 516 hours or so. So yeah, we're doing pretty we're doing pretty good. I can't believe we already dumped over 500 hours into this. I don't know how much playtime Cosmic has. I assume it's probably in the 100 hour to 200 hour range at this point. I'll ask later. But I think combined with everyone who's worked on this base, we probably have about 1,000 hours. I imagine there's like 1,000 hours of playtime in this, and we're actually kind of close to being done. I think we'll probably be done within a month to 2 months. I know that's kind of crazy going, oh yeah, we're almost done. It's only like 2 more months, guys. But we've been here for a while, like 5, 6 months at this point. We've been playing this since what? Like midsummer or so. And it's just about November. So yeah, 5 months or so. Because I think I've missed like 3 logs at this point. And so this was 21. So this is 19. So we should have been on like 21, 22 at this point. So 4.5, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, we put a lot of playtime into this, and I'm still enjoying this base. I know that once we get to something new, I'll be happy to move on to something new, for sure. But I'm still enjoying my time here, which is good. I love modern Minecraft. And actually, I do want to mention that I'm really happy you guys all like to watch this. Most people I talk to online or in real life, don't really enjoy modern Minecraft the same way I do. Like, my brother is big into, like, the adventuring side, and, so, he doesn't really like the modded tech side, So I don't really get to show people what I'm doing a lot. So the fact that I get to show, people online who have similar interests in what I'm doing, like you guys, right, has been really, really fun. It's been really great. It's been really motivating me to keep playing, keeping me, focused on my goal. So I'm really glad you guys all decided to, watch with me, and to all the people who have been playing with me as well. It's been great. I do want to mention though I had to bump up the burn rate on the fusion reactor up to 40 millibuckets per tick, because as you can see we're actually spiking even higher now. So I'm gonna have to probably push that a little bit higher to like 55, or maybe even up to like just the 64 or whatever that we're making, or the 60 we're making, and then just have to expand the fusion fuel production. But we're fine for now. So, I mean, once we get the miners done, that'll be like a couple million, I think, like 1 million or 2 RF. We'll save, because the miners are a lot. Actually, even including the ore processing, it'll probably be like 5 or 6 million, I imagine, actually. So we'll save a lot of power that way. Yeah, that's all I've got today. I'm really thanks. I hope you guys have had a good week. Mine's been kind of mixed, like I mentioned before, but that's just life, right? So I hope you guys have a good week. Hope you guys had a good week. Will have a good week, and I'll see you all again next week.